professional chefs, just using some practical applications. Techniques that we use time and again in the restaurant, in professional atmosphere and environments. We want to bring it home to you. So what we've got here is some beautiful black bear.
Yeah, beautiful black bear that we actually took this week. It was Dakota's black bear. It was an awesome experience. What I have here is some ground black bear and also some pork shoulder. Now it's a very inexpensive cut of meat, but it's also really good to intertwine both of them.
Yep.
It really helps the meat out quite a bit by adding some more fat.
Pull that off.
I've never actually tried bear fat, but apparently you're not supposed to use it. We kind of took that, but we definitely kept some from our bear because we want to boil it down and try it.
Render it, right?
Yeah.
That's the key. Rendering it helps to purify it a little bit, gets rid of the junk. And welcome, Dakota. So my name is Jonathan Collins, and my oldest son, Dakota.
Good evening, everybody.
And my youngest son, Bailey. We got to get going on the cooking.
Yep.
So like Bailey said, the first thing he did is he took that pork shoulder, ground it up. He actually ran it through twice. And then the black bear, that meat, which is much softer, we were able to put it through just once. And look at that beautiful texture.
And I'm gonna saute this up as soon as the pan gets nice and hot. It's always important to have your pan nice and hot before you put the meat in. And once that meat is in and it starts to saute, one thing I want to make sure to do is just leave it alone. One thing you want to do, you want to be stirring in, playing with it. You don't want to do that. You just want to leave it alone and let it sear in the bottom of the pan.
So I just wanted to give you guys a look at the different coloration here. Now this is part of the bear. This is roast off the back leg. And look at, this is the pork shoulder here. And this is the bear hind leg. Look at the color there. You can see a little bit of marbling through it, but very low. We trimmed most of the fat off the bear.
Beautiful. So Bailey's got a job. He's going to start sauteing that. Now it's really important if you've got a lot of meat. Make sure to saute in batches, because what you want to do is you want to get rid of the moisture, but at the same time, the reason we don't just throw this meat into the tomatoes and everything else, we want to develop flavor at every step. Now, one of the things everybody's been talking about with black bear is trichinosis.
Yeah, trichinosis.
So this is what I said to the boys. Have you ever, imagine this, you're really hungry, you walk into the kitchen, you're like, I reach into the kitchen, into the refrigerator, I grab a big old chicken breast, and I just take a bite off it.
Salmonella.
So you never do that, right? So let's not be paranoid about it. Let's face it, the beef and chicken, all kinds of things that we cook need to be cooked past a certain temperature.
Yep.
And that temperature in this case, 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, go ahead. Start put it in. Divide it in batches. Tongs are there.
And what starts to happen if you don't do it in batches, you actually begin to boil the meat.
Yeah. So you want that vapor, all that moisture to escape, but at the same time you want to develop flavor. So he's putting it in the pan. We're going to give you a little shot of that in a little bit, but that's going to be going in. Looks like we're going to give you a shot of it right now. So he's putting it in the pan, and like Bailey said, the most important thing is to make sure that pan is hot. You want it screaming hot so we can develop all kinds of flavors. I get some salt and pepper on that, Bailey. Yep, get some salt. So this is a great time to add seasoning, because that salt will pull the moisture out, and at the same time you want to make sure every single time that you season in layers. Whenever you're building any dish, and in this case the Bolognese, when you're layering that dish, season every layer. So why Bolognese? Well, a little town, Bologna, a little region in Italy has made this sauce famous, and what makes it so great is its simplicity. So Dakota's going to get started on a sofrito in Italian, or in French, the mirepoix. We've been talking about it again and again, and this is the flavor base.
Yeah, so in places, we've replaced some of the ingredients, so we're going to use some fresh thyme instead of fresh parsley, just our own little take on it.
Yeah, and then, so what he's doing is he's peeling the ribs off the celery. Now, he's going to peel the celery as well. Celery has a really stringy outside. It's nice to peel that off, trim it, and get it all cut up. Make sure it's uniform size and shape, and then that way it'll all cook at the same rate. How's that coming?
Good.
Looks pretty good.
Another good little tidbit is a lot of people tend to throw out the inner part of the celery that looks like just a bunch of leaves, but that is
celery heart.
Yeah. But one thing that's also good for is if you're making dinner and say you're making a salad, if you cut that up and toss it into the salad, that's actually where most of the flavor is in the celery.
Tons of flavor.
Amazing.
Yeah, great point. So what I've got some regular slab bacon. Now, You could use pancetta, but just regular thick cut slab bacon, smoky if you want. But we're gonna get a lot of flavors going here. Now the black bear in that hind quarter, that roast from the back, is gonna be full flavored. So bear, like beef, carries lots of flavor. So we wanna make sure that we've got flavors that'll stand up to it and not shy away. So that's why we can add some of this beautiful pork. So Bay, I'm gonna give you that, and you can put that in the next batch, and just saute that up. Now, the next thing I want to do is have you ever made fresh pasta? Fresh pasta, guys, you know how many ingredients you need to make fresh pasta? Two, that's it. You need eggs and you need flour, that's all you need. I want to show you how to make a batch, and we're going to do it right now. You want to take a break on that?
I was getting tired.
Yeah, good. So you don't have to have a food processor, but the food processor will make the job extremely easy. So I've got some beautiful farm fresh eggs here, and all I'm gonna do, and this is a really good rule of thumb for you, so you can take, and for every cup, which is about 150 grams of flour, you need 1 egg per 100 grams. So, and 100 grams per person is perfect for a serving size. So I got 2 cups in there. We'll do a 4-cup measure. So 4 cups of all-purpose flour. You can use Durham flour or semolina. They all have different textures, but you know what? I love using just straight all-purpose because it's so simple. It's something that you'll have around the house, and you can make it. Once you see how easy this is, you'll do this. And the texture, because it's so simple, you'll do this all the time.
And
so
as I'm sure as all of you know, farm fresh eggs is just going to make it that much better.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. So I got some beautiful eggs going in. Now, one of the things that I always do is I put a little bit of olive oil in it as well. Gives it great texture. So there's 6, and these are large egg, or a little bit like, kind of like medium eggs. I'm gonna put a couple of extra eggs in there. And just a nice glug of extra virgin olive oil. Look at that, looks beautiful already. And then what we'll do, put the lid on, and the pulse feature is what you want to use here, because it's going to throw the ingredients up, and as they come back down, it's going to mix together really nicely. Once I do this, you're going to see the texture. Bae, I'm going to get you to grab the one that I put in the fridge earlier. Look at that. So you can see it's about a dozen pulses. And let's have a look at the texture. Oh, it's perfect. So what we're looking for here is something that, this is what we would describe as something that looks pea-like. So like little peas in there, and when you press it together, you notice it comes together and it'll form a beautiful, beautiful, actually, you know what, babe? I think we're gonna roll with this one. This is, normally you let it, you know what, actually, let's use the rested dough. But look at that beautiful texture. That is what you're looking for every single time. Yeah, so put a little flour on the board. This one's a little, I put an extra egg in this one, so it's a little more moist. So you can see here, if you get this is actually a really good problem-solving thing here. If you've got a dough that's a little bit too wet, so this literally just has 1 egg too many in it. So I'm just pulling off that plastic wrap. Just simply take some flour and just put that on top, just so you can handle it. So just turn it over once, a little bit of flour. If you want to put that rolling unit in there.
Yep.
So one of the great things about doing your own pasta is you can, of course, do whatever kind of pasta that you want. We're going to do fettuccine tonight because it's a nice wide noodle. It'll carry the sauce beautifully. But if you want, you could roll this out with a rolling pin. You don't have to have a machine. You can roll it out with a rolling pin, gently fold it over, and you can make it as thick or as thin as you'd like. This is just beautiful. So that texture, that's what we're looking for right there. That's beautiful.
What setting do you want it on?
So we're going to start on 0. So we'll start. So that color, that's coming up nice, eh?
Oh yeah.
So let's give the viewers a quick look at this. This looks really good. So as he comes up, just turn it over to show how it's browning, and then fish it out and show how we're going to do that in batches.
Cool, you can also see the difference between the pork meat and the bear meat as well.
Yep.
You can see here that the bear meat's actually a little darker even still that it's been cooked.
So that's perfect. That's what you want. Now at this stage, See, Bailey's got this, you can use any kind of a strainer. He's just going to fish the majority of it out, put it in a bowl, and just reserve that. And it's important when we're building the layers. Now, Code, while I've got you off, let's have a look at this. We have this one portion. So I'm literally going to divide it by 4. Look at the texture of that beautiful dough. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to just kind of form this. I'm going to make sure that it's not too moist because I want to be able to, the machine to do a beautiful job of rolling this out for me. And then all you have to do is literally, just gonna put a little bit of flour in there. This is a great thing to do with the kids too, I'll tell you. This is a lot of fun. The Bay's got it on, there we go. We had it set just a little tight, there we go. How's the audio on that, Code? Is that good? Yeah. Okay, good. So yeah, put the bacon in with that batch. You can see what's starting to happen is that beautiful dough is kneading. I just turn it over a couple times like this. And if it's a little bit moist to the touch, just simply add a little bit of flour as you go. And look at this spectacular pasta. See that, the way that's catching there? That means it's just a little on the damp side. So we're just gonna add a bit more flour. It's great, as long as you don't have to clean up this. I'm really glad we have to clean up too. There we go, look at that beautiful dough coming through here. So turn it over, you notice I turn it over and then go the opposite direction. Tuck that in. Beautiful. How's that coming along back there, Bay?
Good. Yep, we got another batch starting to go there, and we got this one all done. This is the second batch, and we've already done the one that said to incorporate the bacon. Why did you incorporate the bacon again?
So the bacon we want to saute to develop flavor. Okay. So you can see what we've got here is that each time we pass it through, I'm dialing it for a little more pressure, and each time it passes through, it gets just a little bit thinner. Look at that beautiful texture, Bay.
That's awesome.
So you can see the beautiful color of that dough because it's egg-based, because we've got some beautiful olive oil in there, and we're just going to keep working on this until we get it down to. So we've got about that length. So when you get it about halfway done, get it to a manageable size. Otherwise, you'll look like, what was that Disney movie, Lady and the Tramp? Got like a 19-foot long pasta noodle, which if you're on a date, I suppose can help you. There we go.
Can I do this one?
Yep, go for it. Run it through. Just got to catch. As soon as it catches, you'll. Got it? There you go. And just in the center. Nice. So for the fettuccine, we can keep going and getting it just absolutely wafer thin. But you can see that beautiful texture. Have a look at that, Code. That beautiful texture. It's very supple. And the thing that you'll find that's so different about fresh pasta is it takes a fraction of the time to be able to cook it. So now I'm going to take this out and we're going to start with some of the fettuccine noodles. So come on in here, Code. We'll show this one while we're at it as well. The nice thing about these heads is it really allows you to make lots of pasta and make it really fast. So watch this. So, Bay, when you get it to this length, the way that you did, what I do is I take that and I slice that again. So that is so that it's manageable lengths.
Yep.
And then go ahead and turn that on. Just turn it right up. And then simply run it through. And you have this gorgeous pasta.
Look at that, eh?
So this is so beautiful. Now that is still quite damp. So what I always do is I take flour, put it on top, and then literally what you create is a little pasta nest, and just tuck that aside, and then you can do the same thing again, Bay, with another run. Now I want to show you at home, if you don't have a pasta cutter, I don't want you to feel like you have to have it. Before you do that one, Bay, I want to show you a little technique here. So get those all separated and get some flour on them. Man, the kitchen's hot. You can really tell it's summertime. Okay, so what you do is you literally take that beautiful rolled out pasta and you just come back and forth and back and forth. And now we're going to do a cut called the tagliatelle. And so this is just an even broader cut. So you just take the edges, take those away, and then something about an inch in thickness. And I'm telling you right now, especially for me, doing something like a bear pasta, this is what you want. This is rustic, this is big, this is thick, and this to me is a bear-sized pasta.
Well, it's a hearty meal too, right, with bear, and it's almost like a stick-to-your-ribs kind of meal, where it's almost like oatmeal or pasta, and something that's really just going to fill you up.
Beautiful. Okay, good. So we got fresh pasta down. So if you're just joining us, we're doing wild black bear bolognese with fresh pasta. Now we can talk bear camp.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. We went up. We were about 5 hours north of where we are right now. We have to travel that far to get up into bear country, actually. And so Ontario black bears are thriving. There's about 75 to 100,000 bears in the province, which is just, I mean, incredible.
They've actually boomed so much that they've reintroduced our spring black bear hunt.
Yeah.
So we only had fall black bear hunts, but because the population is doing so well, they've actually reintroduced a spring black bear hunt.
Well, and that's really important to know. You know, I know everybody feels the pressure of hunting for, you know, on public lands, and our spaces as hunters are being challenged, let's just say. One of the things that you need to know about black bears is their numbers are increasing. They're increasing every single year. So even though there's hunters out there harvesting them, through conservation, keeping an eye on the population, we're the eyes and the ears of these animals. And we talk about, you know, we feed back information, where they were harvested, how old they were. Was there any issues with what we found, you know? We find out if there's diseased bears. If there's anything going on in that world, we know about it. And that's one of the things that we got to share with the people who don't know. Like a bolognese sauce makes bear very palatable with a little bit of bacon, a little bit of pork. This is the reason why we want to share this recipe, because, you know, you want to be able to share the food. You've worked so hard. You've been out there. You've done the scouting. You've done the hard work. Maybe you've had the privilege of a spot in stock. And now you want to be able to share it with your friends, your family, and you want to do it in a way that makes it very palatable to them. Now, one of the things I want to do, we want to get that flavor. The reason we're sauteing is there's all kinds of flavor that's developed on the inside of that pan.
So you can see here that I'm just doing a simple paysan cut. You can see that it's important that all your cuts are the exact same width. You can see there, so that they cook all to the same rate. And I'm doing carrot, celery, and now I'm going to do some onion here. And I'll show you a little trick here with the onion to get a finer dice. You just take both root tips off, slice it in half, peel that first outer layer off, and then what you're going to do is lay it down like this, and you're going to make little slits. And the wider you make your slits, the bigger the dice will be, and the thinner the slits, the thinner it'll be. So you just run it all the way down. And then this is a little bit of a thicker onion, so I'm going to do 2 passes here. And so what you're going to do is, you see here, I'm just going to run this knife just like this, right through. 1, 2.
Now, Claude, I'm going to hold you up there. Grab your veggies and bring them over here, so you can see all that flavor. Let's talk about that flavor in the pan there.
Oh yeah, see this right here, all we're going to do is deglaze this, and what this is going to turn into is an automatic gravy right away.
Get those veggies in there. No deglazing yet. We're going to saute, get those veggies in there. Now when that moisture starts to come out of those veggies, it's going to pick up all that flavor, but it's really important for that to be sauteed to golden brown.
Okay, so I'm going to show you this here. So you saw what we did. It creates this. And as soon as you slice it, what you're left with, look at that. Each time, the perfect amount, same size, all the way through.
We had the time to can some plum tomatoes. Grab the dice there, babe. But if you don't, all you need is a couple cans of crushed tomatoes. Let me tell you something about crushed tomatoes. Canned foods generally, I'm not a big fan of. But some things, there's literally no loss in terms of flavor. What would be worse? These tomatoes are hothouse. There's not a ton of flavor, even though they're fresh. You can get them in season, they're sun ripened and flavorful, man, use them. But if you don't, keep in mind, many of these tomatoes that are canned, they're canned in Italy in a lot of cases. You're getting a ton, you're getting Mediterranean sun. These will be just fine. So how those are coming along?
Good.
Nice. So this is really turning, this is going to be a beautiful sauce. Now keep in mind, you know, if you're watching this and let's say you have a vegetarian in the home, you know, this is something you can do without the meat. It's no problem. What I would do is I would do 2 separate sides. And hey, meat eaters, let's respect the non-meat eaters, okay? And you know, one of the things I also, you know, when you take a bear or a deer or an elk, you always have so much meat.
Oh yeah.
So I have a big family. I've got 5 kids, 2 grandkids, in-laws, outlaws, you name, you know what I'm saying, right? There's a lot of people. What you have to do is when you're making a mess that's this big, why not make 2 or 3 batches? Make a bunch of it, absolutely.
And typically, you know, when you cut it up in your freezer, I know us, we leave big old roasts when we pack them, right?
Well, they'll last longer frozen. Keep in mind, when you grind it makes it easy to handle, but ground beef or ground, let's say in this case, ground bear will not last as long as a black bear roast. Or coarse salt. It's a sea salt. You're always getting a lot of flavor that way. Watch how much I'm going to put in this pan. I'm going to put 1, 2, 3. Look at that. Look at how it behaves. So first things first, what happens is when I season the water, that is going to season the pasta that I put in there. So I want that to be, I'm going to turn that on high on my range, and I want that to be a full rolling boil. There's a reason why I want a full rolling boil, and that's because those bubbles do me a great service. They're moving the pasta around so it doesn't stick. And when you've got fresh pasta in particular, like this beautiful pasta, you don't want it to stick. So we got a rolling boil there, Code. You can always test it, and literally I'm just going to rain this down inside. And then all I'm going to do, I'm just going to give it a quick stir. And all that's going to do is just help me. Now, Code, I want you to stay on that. The way that you know this is done is it begins to float. Now, you wouldn't believe it, but that is almost on its way to being cooked. And that's the one great thing about fresh pasta. Yep, that's awesome. There we go, lots. More. Good, nice. Now give that a good stir. Now what he wants to do is get all those crispy bits. Everything off the side, everything off the bottom. Oh, it smells incredible. And you want to saute that, get it all. And you want to saute, I know it is. Come on, man. Get in there. There, I turned it down. Okay, so I got to do this. So a little bit of olive oil in the pan, okay? Then what you want to do is take your tongs, and in the pasta goes, and go ahead and leave a little bit of that water on it as you do. And what happens is you get a tiny bit of an emulsion, which sticks right to that beautiful pasta. Look at the color. You know what, honestly, you wonder why I get revved up about cooking? This is why. So when you do this, then a toss, and a toss, and a toss, and a toss, and then on the plate, oh my gosh, you should smell this. I wish you could smell it. It smells amazing, it looks amazing, and oh man, it just needs a little bit of black bear bolognese and it'll be perfect.
Bring them here for a second, Cole. I just want to show them this. I don't know if you saw the pan before, but before we had all kinds of brown and red stuff all gained on here. And you can see that it's completely gone, and not only that, but look at the mirepoix. You see how it's changed color and it looks like it's almost coated and everything? Yeah. That is the taste of the red wine. So every time you take a sip of red wine and what you're tasting, that's now in the food and on everything.
So now let's get that meat in there. That meat can go right in there. Don't miss a single piece of it.
Meat's in.
Okay, and then I've got, this is a brilliant key here. Got some fresh bay leaves. Fresh bay leaves going in. Bay, I want you to strip in some of this fresh thyme. Okay. Strip in a little bit of that, talk about thyme a little bit.
Yeah, and we've said it before in our Surefire Wednesdays, but this is thyme. And the easiest way to get thyme off the stem is to grab the top and go against the grain and just pinch. And as you pull down, all the thyme leaves come off, and you can just sprinkle them right into whatever you're cooking.
Now what I've got here is you can use vegetable stock, chicken stock, or even beef stock. I've got a little bit of chicken stock, and you know what? I'll give you a little hint. Whenever you're making a really good sauce, in a professional kitchen, we always have cheaters. And the sauces, or the chicken stock, the beef stock, the veg stock, it's the easiest way to add flavor and make something that's really good exceptional. So what happens is, in the end, it reduces and there's all kinds of flavor in there. Not a lot of liquid, but it's that little thing that's hidden in there that gives you a real great element of flavor.
Could you use turkey stock?
Turkey stock, whatever you've got. Whatever you've got. You got turkey stock, you can use it. Let's go in with these beautiful tomatoes. So you can see, now this is going to be a beautiful ending here. Look at this. Okay, give that a stir. Incorporate all of that for me, babe.
It smells just amazing. It's very different from when you like do lean ground beef or something like that. The bears, even the smell smells different.
Well,
Smells
that's
better,
nice.
to be honest.
So, and my last kind of cheater is, and this is something that you can find, all the stores have it, it's just a pureed tomato sauce. And this, as you can see, that's beautiful. It's actually, again, it's done in Italy. So when you add this, the richness of this just makes the sauce just spectacular. Give that a good stir, babe.
Yeah, another good thing is if you get a nice large cast iron pot like this, it's a lot easier to do stuff like this because you have one giant pot where you can not only saute the beef, but then you can do your vegetables and then just throw everything right in to cook all in one pot. Makes cleanup easy and cooking easy.
So we removed all the fat. We had heard many things about the fat.
Yep.
In particular, like you notice what we prepared today, it didn't have any fat on it. We trimmed all that off. And then what we did is we put it over the campfire. We rendered it down.
That's one thing we made sure to do though. We didn't get rid of the fat. We kept it and rendered it ourselves so we could try it. Well, we've heard a lot of stories about the fat and everything. We wanted to be able to come from a standpoint of we've tried it and kind of get our own opinion about it.
I treated it just like duck fat. So duck fat, when removed or when you cook with it, you just simply render it. You bring it up to about 170 degrees. You purify it by doing that, and then you strain it off to clean out any of the impurities, and then we immediately froze it. So personally, I'm gonna do eggs this Saturday morning in bear fat, and then I'll let you know. Now, let's talk for 1 second about the importance of reducing sauces. So remember, I added the liquid. We put the chicken stock in there.
Yep.
We put the wine in there. There was tomato juice. But one of the most important things is not to rush this step. When you get something cooking and it starts to look fabulous, and you're looking at this and you're saying, man, that looks good, it's a little bit, right now it's still a little bit runny. The way that you do that is you just continue to thicken it. You continue to just reduce it. Now, here's the thing, babe. If you reduce it, and let's say it gets too dry, what do you add?
Water?
You just add water. You add water because that's what you got rid of. So or you can add some wine. I mean, like I might add wine. But if you don't like wine, by the way, you might not like, we put red wine in there. If you don't like red wine, use white wine. If you don't like wine, period, use beer. The reason we're using alcohol is because whether it's the brewmaster, the vintner, what they've done is they've taken the time to perfect that taste and that palate of that particular alcohol. And what happens when you concentrate it, you accentuate that flavor.
Another good point is if you don't like wine or beer or alcohol because of the alcohol, an important thing is when you cook it, it's actually a good way to enjoy the taste because when you cook it, all the alcohol burns off. So if you don't like alcohol per se, you can still get the beautiful taste of red wine or beer just without the alcohol.
So, folks, I would let this reduce a little longer, but I want to show you a finish. So we're going to put this beautiful, oh my gosh. Come on, guys. It smells absolutely fantastic. Look at this. You can see why the Italians call it gravy. Okay? You can see why they call it gravy. I mean, that's just, oh my gosh. I just want to keep pouring gravy on there. Okay. We're going to finish it with a little bit of, put it right here, buddy. So what we've got, never buy the powdered Parmesan. It's mostly...
This tastes completely different.
Yeah.
And most important thing before I do this, one of my favorite tools in the kitchen is called a microplane. It's kind of like a mini cheese grater. And things for like zest and like around Christmas, nutmeg and stuff into your drinks. And most importantly, Parmesan.
Parmesan, so a nice firm parm. Oh yeah.
It's like at a restaurant when they're like, when? Just say when. It's like, there is no when.
Let it rain, let it rain, let it rain. Okay, we have just a couple minutes left, and I think this makes us very happy. You can see I did that tagliatelle in just a nice simple dish. So whether it's wide or thin, can be spaghetti, can be fresh pasta. Remember, 2 ingredients, eggs, flour, and you're in business.
Yep.
2 ingredients, and if you need to bring it together, do it by hand. You can roll it with a rolling pin. That's the way you get connected to the food. When you make food like this and you make it from scratch, you know what's gone into it. You know that it's healthy for you, for your family, and my goodness, if you've had the privilege of harvesting an animal like we did, and have the honor of taking a gorgeous black, I couldn't take my hands off the paws.
Oh, I know.
The
It's so
pads,
cool, so
the
fascinating.
claws, it's so humbling.